live at Super Training Gym in Sacramento, California. This is Mark Bell's PowerCast, sponsored by thepowermagazine.com, howmuchyoubench.net, and BSN, makers of NO Explode. Look for BSN products at bodybuilding.com. Alongside Silent Mike and Jim McD, here's your host, Mark Bell.
Oh my God.
Your host.
I'm fired up today because we have Tony Budding on the program today. You guys have any idea what he does? I don't know.
Was there an athlete named Tony Buddinger?
I don't know.
I know there's a Buddinger. He's the only white guy on the Houston Rockets or something.
It sounds awkward.
Whatever. So functional fitness, ladies and gentlemen.
Functional fatness is what's been going on here at Super Training since 2006.
This is correct.
See,
what makes fitness functional and what functionality?
let's talk non-functional movements. Would a bicep curl be non-functional?
Completely non-functional.
How could it be non-functional? I want
That's a
bigger
good question.
I know in the scientific, nerdy weightlifting world, an open chain movement is functional and a closed chain movement is not, such that a deadlift is functional, yet a back extension is not.
I don't know. I don't agree with it. I just think any sort
I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying.
Any sort of movement, even a bowel movement, would be productive for some people.
You think a bowel movement's considered functional fitness?
If you're below parallel, yes, it is. If you're using a squatty potty, then
well,
for
then
sure.
that's the only healthy way to do
Squatty
it.
potty gets you down deep. I know you're looking at that giant
Oh,
bat.
dude, I thought that was
I
a
know.
bird, but I think that's a bug. Oh, my God, that thing's huge. Do not come over here. Oh, my God. Silent Mike's out of here.
Good thing we don't have a mouse on the table. That thing would pick it up and
Oh
fucking
my
just fly away with it.
That was so scary.
It just flew into the Escalade.
It's going to pick up Bootsy,
it
the
just started
bulldog
up my
here.
fucking car.
That
That's
was
frightening.
so scary.
That's frightening.
All right, let's get down to business. My homies over at Masthetics,
Mathetics.
Garrett and Simone.
Not easy to say if you have a lisp.
True.
Mathetics. I really like that mathetics stuff. It's nice.
They're running a huge contest.
Mike
for their
Tyson, everyone. Mike Tyson.
Yeah, it's their first athlete is Mike Tyson. Masthetics. They're running some kind of contest on their YouTuber channel.
Are they trying to get people jacked?
They're trying to get people jacked and tan. Their goal is to make people strong and not fat.
Whoa. That's not easy to do.
I know
No.
it isn't, but I'm all for it. Being jacked, being strong. They got hella dudes. They got hella of our homies on the fucking thing. They got the homie Omar. He donated some stuff. We donated some stuff. How Much You Bench and Super Training donated some stuff towards our prizes. Mark Lobliner, all these other YouTube nerds. Olympus Iron. Brandon Campbell. Big Wayne Campbell.
Yeah.
He donated some stuff.
What's up, Brandon Campbell?
Bryce Lewis, the 198er. A bunch of homies. So check them out if you want, if you're bored.
A lot of YouTubers.
All the YouTubers.
Tubing.
And us. They're tubing gifts out.
So
And that's where I got my T-shirt.
so let's
I have one.
let's
He has one.
try
We're
to
just not wearing them right now.
let's try to brace everybody for this
Okay.
conversation that we're about to encounter here.
So this episode is CrossFit, right? That's
Sort
functional
of.
fitness.
Sort of, yeah.
Except that it's not. It's not called
Except
CrossFit
it's
this time.
professional fitness.
Well, hold on a second, guys. Just realize there's a lot of attorneys recording this podcast.
Me and Mark
Probably
were
so.
speaking earlier
specific reasons.
about so many attorneys are going to be listening to us about CrossFit.
I'm lawyered up, bitches.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So functional fitness is a
We
category.
just made Jim nervous, and he's nervous for no reason.
Functional fitness is a category.
I'm just worried about the connection, but whatever.
Oh, okay.
Functional fitness is a category of exercise and a category of movement, but CrossFit is a company, right?
Right.
We got that so much so far. What they believe in, CrossFit per se, is being a well-rounded person and athlete, being good at, if you had to break them up in categories, endurance, conditioning,
Right.
strength, Olympic lifts and power lifts, gymnastics.
I think one of the simplest ways to understand CrossFit is something that was said early on with CrossFit. It was basically like, show me someone that squats 600 pounds, and I'll show you somebody that can't run a mile.
Right.
Show me somebody that can run a mile, and I'll show you somebody that can't squat 600 pounds.
Right.
So they were looking for like a happy medium, maybe someone that can run a mile or 2 miles and squat 500, something along those lines.
I'm going to squat 600 pounds this November, mark my words, and I'm going to run a fucking mile before I
I'm going
deadlift.
to iron mile a 500-pound squat.
No, you're not.
I'm gonna
That's a lie.
jog
No,
with it
that's
on
a
my
lie.
back.
No, that's a lie.
Well, you said to lie.
No, I'll
Come
run a
on, You
mile.
ain't doing shit.
I ran a mile in 5.
When you were 7, probably.
No, 18, which wasn't that long ago.
Your ankles are going to explode. You're like
Maybe.
15 or 20 pounds heavier than when you played basketball.
Probably
You're
at
gonna
least.
fucking blow out an Achilles.
Maybe.
Probably at least, yeah.
All right, so the National Professional Fitness League,
Started by Tony Budding,
who we're about to have on the
who
show
formerly was with CrossFit.
another company.
We can say it. We can say whatever we want.
All right. Well, he was with fucking CrossFit. He was the director of the CrossFit Games. He was directing of like their media and stuff. CrossFit is known and successful. It's been on ESPN.
Yikes. Sorry about that.
Your lawyer's calling, or the Fed's watching. One of the two.
Both. That was Rick Ross.
So, functional fitness.
Yo, Rick, I'll call you back in about 20.
Oh. Their goal now is to make a fitness better for the viewer. And it's basically a head-to-head battle of two teams with tons of variables, men and women. One member has to be over 40. And they're basically going through a race that consists of shorter races or tasks within this race.
Right.
We already mentioned some of this shit in a podcast before someday. But so it's a race from one end to the other. The playing field is about the size of a basketball court.
The point is it's a race, and it's something that everybody can see. Everybody everybody understands.
11 events
within one
Right.
race.
within one race, but I think that they go down
They are. It
11
starts
times
at one
down.
end. Oh, I don't know about that. I just
I
know
don't
they
know.
start at one end.
That's a
When-
good question.
When
I
you,
didn't understand
When you
that.
Can
cross
you call it a giant obstacle course? Would that be fair?
kind of, except I believe
Except
there's
that there
more
are tasks
Yeah.
Right.
instead of
And one thing I did hear in a newest interview I've watched with Budding is, which is something we talked about, a different way of adding a time element or whatever.
Right.
They have a ladder on race 7 every event per se, but what movement will change? So one week it'll be a snatch ladder. Next week it'll be a
Right.
deadlift ladder.
right.
And the difference in the ladder from other places such as CrossFit. CrossFit, it's how many steps you can go to lift the heaviest weight. This is poundage based.
Right.
We
Yeah.
talked about that before. I was like, that would be genius. And obviously he thought about it before me. I just didn't. I was misinformed. But that's genius. So if you could do 315, Mark, for 40 reps, but I can do 400
Ooh, that'd
for
be
30
tough.
reps, the point is you're just overall volume and poundage, and
Right,
whoever wins
right.
in whatever 5 minutes is the most. And that's a team event still. So I think it'll be interesting. We'll get some of the insight from this guy.
I like that some of it's kind of head-to-head action. Any of you that have ever been to the CrossFit Games or have ever seen it on TV, you do sometimes get that head-to-head action, but head-to-head action, how good does that sound? Hey now. Can I get a hey now?
Hey now.
There we go. The head-to-head action of the CrossFit Games sometimes is a little awkward because somebody will be so bad in one area they'll get way left behind, and
Yeah.
it no longer becomes a race. It's just like a few guys way the hell out in front of everybody
Yeah.
else. And it's not as competitive sometimes, although sometimes they do hit the nail right on the head when they have something like a snatch ladder or a clean ladder
Yeah.
where the weights are going up each round, and
those-
sometimes they're doing double unders or something like that in between.
Those are the most exciting to watch.
People get so fired
Yeah.
up for those. The lifters themselves are excited, and the fans are really, really into it. You see Rich Froning, he'll do 325, and Jason Khalipa will come right behind him. He'll do 325. Now they both have to try 340,
Right.
or whatever the weight goes up to next, and that's something that the crowd can get on board with, or the people following at home that have never seen CrossFit before. They know, they see a guy lift 335, another guy lift 335. They're like, oh, they're even.
Yeah.
And then they see the next guy makes it and the next guy misses it. Then they know the other guy won. And
Right.
sometimes in powerlifting, it's sometimes hard to decipher all these different things. We get into these big powerlifting meets of 70 lifters, but there's only one guy in like the 198 class who really is a dominant
who's
lifter,
killing
like
it, yeah.
Chris Ramos, who did really well in our last competition. But it's kind of hard to see sometimes. Like, oh, well, so-and-so lifted more than him. It's like, okay, well, that guy's 4 weight classes heavier.
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
somebody lighter might have lifted similar amount to him and did really well also.
Well, what's the most basic contest every child does? I mean, they fucking race each other.
Right.
Yeah,
Every
race,
kid's
yeah.
like,
hey, let's run to that mailbox
like,
and see who gets there first.
yeah,
You know?
or with your siblings, like, oh, first one to the fucking car, and you just go, and that's just what you do as a
Remember
human.
when you had new shoes back in the day?
Yeah,
how fast you
How
were?
fast you ran.
Oh
yeah.
my god!
That
was-
and usually how white they were
And
too.
he jumps. Oh yeah,
Depending on
then
your
some
age.
dick on the bus steps
Will
on him.
step on them exactly.
Why do they do that?
every time? Because they're dicks.
Like being a
We're gonna do a
basketball-
whole episode on why people have to be dicks
I don't
someday. But
even
anyway,
Yeah,
understand.
but at least kids are like dicks, just straight up.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
humans are behind your back.
Like a kid might like poke another kid and be like, "Hey, look how fat so and so. Look how fat Smelly is walking down the aisle." But they'll be loud about it.
yeah,
Right.
You know, adult will be more behind your back, which is worse.
yeah. A lot of people do tell me you're fat.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm sure people are probably thinking that we're obsessed with the NPFL now, but it seems like we've talked about it a couple episodes in a row. But realize that we have recorded 2 episodes since the last time we talked about it. So,
Yeah.
and,
Well,
this,
and I think-
and this one's going to come
right.
out because
That's a
we're going to
good
strike
point.
while the iron's hot.
Yeah,
we got
who
Tony.
cares what they think?
We
Yeah,
got
that's a
Tony
good-
today, and that's the
That's
deal.
a good point. I think people are probably wondering why the hell are they talking about CrossFit? Why are they talking about all these things? Well, CrossFit is the biggest movement in the history of fitness. The biggest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen anything
Right.
like it. Curves, as funny as it might sound, was a pretty big movement.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Step classes or
Shake
aerobics
weight.
in the fucking 80s. I don't know. I don't even know what to compare it to. But, keep in mind that the CrossFit Open has something around 150,000 competitors. I can't think of any competition, with maybe the exception of American Idol, that has more competitors. I can't,
Let's face it,
I
it's-
could be wrong. There could be some other competitions out there like Tough Mudder or some shit that has more. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But there's a bunch of
150,000 competitors.
There's a bunch of half-naked hot chicks running around.
Yeah.
American
That too.
Idol doesn't have that.
Another good point about the
Sometimes.
NPFL is this is from their perspective at least, the only professional sports league that is co-ed.
Right.
Which is a big deal. Like, I mean, I think it's been a long time coming. Women who compete in CrossFit and other functional fitness type events,
makes sense,
They
yeah.
are tough competitors.
Yeah,
we Midtown had a strength event here the other day, and it was amazing to see women from teens to their 50s,
Just some bad bitches
just
running around.
busting
I
their
would,
asses. They weren't half-assing it at all. It was
Right.
.
It is great to see that. I would say that Dana White has stepped up to the table with some ladies in the UFC, but that's not a team event.
Yeah, it's not
And
a team
that's very
event.
but
recent.
that's
it's
good as well.
very,
That's within
very
the last
recent.
year, right?
And he
Right.
said never. He used to say never. You'll never ever see it.
Yeah.
And then he
Well, I think
he had the foresight to go back and say, "Fuck it." You guys are right. Maybe we should have some chicks in here.
yeah. I think
Or
that's
hindsight.
I think that's a big deal. And going back to why we talk
What kind
about
of
it
sight?
is because we're in the fitness industry. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. That whether, yes, we're powerlifters, yes, we like to squat, bench, and deadlift, but we respect all barbell movements. We want people to get strong. And, the other thing is, I think we mentioned it too, is Biggest Loser. Like, I watched that show. Like, it brings some kind of fitness into forefront of the nation,
Right.
And that's all I'm about. Is it somebody moving? I watch all these nerdy YouTube channels just because they're into fitness, just trying to watch more people lift more weights because it's what I like to do.
There's a lot you can learn from a lot of different areas, and that's one of the reasons why we try to have that reach. Try to talk to bodybuilders, powerlifters, strongman, and that's what we've touched upon here at the PowerCast.
Yeah.
We've reached out to a lot of different people, and hopefully we kind of continue to that. Hopefully we can find someone who does gymnastics, or we had the explosive coach who was
yeah.
jumping.
Yeah.
and hopefully we
Little
can
bit
get basketball, football, baseball. Hopefully we can kind of reach
Well,
all those different things, because in the end it's just about getting better.
Yeah.
Right.
Another reason why we've been into this particular activity, other than it being brand new, is that we have a lot of friends who've been in the combines now. 4 or 5 people that we're pretty close to.
And the
right.
money.
And the money. There's
Well,
the money,
and we're
yeah.
being paid under the table.
Well, but the truth is
Got any more money for me down there?
fitness, besides the late '90s and bodybuilding, is always a hobby.
Right.
Right.
Unless you're the very, very top of bodybuilding. Even the top
Yeah.
of powerlifting, it's a hobby. Top
yeah,
of,
well, it's totally a hobby.
the
yeah.
top of CrossFit, literally the top one, maybe it's not a hobby.
Yeah.
Maybe Froning is a professional CrossFitter. The rest have to own a gym at least.
Right.
Physique girls, figure girls, they have jobs. They're lawyers and shit.
Well, you see, back to MMA, some of the sacrifices that those guys make.
Yeah, living out their car.
The amount of time and preparation that has to go into training for something like that is huge.
How little sponsorship they actually get, most of them.
Right.
How
Right. The
some
money,
of them do okay in terms of purses, and others, don't.
Yeah, the money just probably isn't really there. For some of the select few that are great, I'm sure they're getting paid really, really well. I know guys that make it to the pay-per-view end up doing really well. But
Right.
yeah, if you're not, and think about UFC, how competitive that is, or even CrossFit, how competitive it's becoming. And I know we get people that want to try to bash on it here and there, but I always just like to reference the fact that these men and women are strong. There's girls deadlifting around 400 pounds. Some of the top level girls, it's not uncommon for them to be close to that 400-pound mark raw.
Yeah.
There's some dudes that are, I think at this NPFL event combine, I think someone pulled like 635 and just a belt. So
Which is better than 50% of the competitive powerlifters out there, I bet.
yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not earth shattering. And if you're a power lifter, you don't want a 635 deadlift. You're hoping to be higher than that. But
I bet you if you
good.
polled every active powerlifter, meaning they compete in meets, every single active powerlifter, that's more than 50%.
Well, especially when you add in body weight, it's probably more than 70%.
Yeah, that's a
Probably
good
so.
poll. I don't care if you weigh 242, whatever. That's a pretty good poll. That means you've taken some time to lift some weights.
Also, not to make excuses, but to keep in mind that these guys are just using regular stuff.
Yeah.
They're not using a deadlift bar.
No.
They're not using any special squat bar when they
No.
go and they squat and they do these weights. So,
They got a bar and they got bumper plates.
yep. And they might have some knee sleeves on.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of it.
Probably some piece of shit ones.
That's true. Probably some piece of crap ones.
Yeah, but that's the truth. And for it's just closed-minded of anybody just to push it out of the way just because they think it's a sissy sport or they think it's not powerlifting or that's the whole thing is before
Right.
CrossFit it was bodybuilders hated powerlifters and powerlifters hated bodybuilders, and then now they don't hate each other, they hate CrossFitters. Like, who
it
cares?
seems to me right now that the competitors are all about it. Just like if someone came into powerlifting and did something similar and said, let's make some super teams. Let's have bench, squat, deadlift specialists from around the country compete against each other. If someone did something of that format, everybody at first might kind of gripe, but then they say, well, wait a second, you're getting paid. And everybody would go,
yeah.
when do you want me there?
Yeah. Exactly.
And powerlifters, at this point, there's not a ton of money in the sport, and I think you could probably get people to get on board for fairly cheap. You get them flight, you get them hotel, and you could probably make arrangements that way. And I think that's what this league is doing, is they're trying to accommodate these people, make them feel professional, and how much money they're actually going to make. Kind of remains to be seen.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the numbers.
The potential's through the roof.
Yeah, some of the numbers that are being thrown out there is that somebody that participates in all the games can make around $30,000.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah,
Because with no salary cap yet and no fucking...
which isn't bad, and you consider the fact that they can probably pull in some sponsors. They can make a little bit more money there. I mean, now you're talking about making $50,000 or $60,000.
And if you win MVP of a match or something,
Just
we
for
don't even know.
lifting.
Yeah.
just for lifting, and I'm sure you probably have enough time to have a job on top of that.
Yeah, probably.
Of some sort.
Well, even if it's online trading, then you can make a living that way. Who knows?
Let's see. Looks like we got something from Tony. Should I call you? Yes.
Say yes.
I'll say yes. Or do you want to call him?
Who do I get to call?
I just said yes.
All right, I'll call somebody next. Let's fucking chat. His face is about to pop up, huh?
The logistics of setting this all up is still somewhat new to us sometimes, so bear with us, folks. We're still working.
Unlike them, our budget isn't through the roof.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Our budget's $7.
We really need like one more person to run the cameras and
Three's
be
company,
just
two's a crowd.
Jim,
I don't want them to talk.
Oh, I don't want them to talk either. I don't
No.
even want to talk.
Jim, what is your problem? I don't understand why you can't run the podcast, run the cameras, and speak. I just don't get it. I mean, you're fast enough.
That's what I
You
hear.
drink enough coffee.
You're
to handle it.
functionally fit.
You drink plenty of coffee to handle it. I love it. One camera goes down, the next camera goes down.
No,
We need remote control.
They're
We're
okay
good
at the
right now.
moment. They're okay
Can
at
they
the
see
moment.
me? Let's look at my shirt.
Then we'll have a sound issue. I mean, there's always something.
Yeah, there's always something.
And then working with silent Mike's just impossible. You look horrible, Mike.
Damn it.
For those of you who've never seen the PowerCast, Mike looks terrible.
For those of you who've never seen the PowerCast, you're not fucking living.
Mike, it's about time you start posting some selfies. Just join the club. Join the crowd.
I thought about it the other day. I almost did.
Just get in the lineup. Just post a selfie from somebody else.
Did you ever listen to
Be
that?
like, I'm feeling great. And it could be like of T. Cummins.
Neck down. Neck down.
Neck down.
If I was going to choose anybody, it would be T. Cummins. That kid's pretty yoked.
I would kind of buy that you would
He's
look
about
sort of like
about your age, maybe.
Yeah, I'm 30 pounds lighter, but we look similar.
Yeah, something like that.
He looks like Matt Damon. I look like Adam Sandler.
Be like, yo, check it out.
There's that,
Feeling great this morning. You're all veiny and shit.
I should post one of you.
There you go.
Saying, turned up my cardio.
There you go.
And shaved.
I like it. Just post up a old fat face picture of mine.
Yeah, I think you have to start
or
with
a new one.
I thought I would start with like a baby picture of myself. I have one selfie on there somewhere.
What did somebody said? Oh, my friend Tito. You guys, well, his name is Emilio. I don't know why I call him Tito.
That's
how
racist.
He introduced
That's
himself.
racist.
That's how he introduced himself. I don't know. I don't understand Mexican people.
You're not supposed to nickname yourself.
I don't know. He's not.
Do you know that? Like
he's like not Mexican. I don't know.
He might not have.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, Mark doesn't come up and be like, "Hey, I'm smelly." Hey, you know,
No,
like, "Hi, I'm
no.
Mark."
I earned that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunately.
gross. But same thing. Like, I don't say, "Hi, I'm Silent
But
Mike."
he was like, "Hey, man," he's like, "I just saw this old picture of you." He's like, "You look so fucking fat. I can't believe it." And I look at it. It's a picture from the Arnold.
Oh, no.
He goes, "Look at your face, dude. Look how fat you used to be." And I'm like, "Oh my!" I'm like, "That's from the Arnold."
That's 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's from 3 weeks ago. Fuck.
I put my face on a diet for that.
Oh my
embarrassing.
god.
That's actually one of those greatest lines from
Oh yeah.
from Super Training history. Juan Laja saying, "Monday morning, my face is going on a diet."
I got a selfie.
Ba-doom.
I got a selfie here.
You should do. That's awesome.
Oh, that's adorable.
You should do selfies with
It's
your
silent-
shirt on.
Silent Mike with
Just
a
like stand
basketball.
there and like hold your shirt.
With what?
with
Just
your
like
shirt
take-
on.
with your shirt on.
His shirt doesn't come off though.
Be like
I think
Dave.
I sleep in a shirt.
Day 1 of 365, and day 41.
Just a selfie a day.
Just
keep
over
the
and
doctor
over
away.
again.
Just your waist with your shirt still on.
Yeah,
Great.
progress pic. Be it a
It
parka.
could just be always the same. Yeah, always the same photo.
Tony, we miss you. Where are you?
Did we lose him? Hello?
Is
Or
he-
did we ever get him?
He's
No,
so
we
quiet.
never got
Silent
him.
Tony.
We never got him.
Silent Tony. Hopefully.
You told him to call us, right?
Yeah, you can try him. Fuck it.
Jim,
Hey, Tony.
Hey,
How's
Tony.
it going? This is Mark Bell.
And Jim McDonald and
Silent Mike.
It's great
How
to
you
have
guys
you.
doing?
We're doing great. It's great to have you on the PowerCast. We're really psyched and fired up to learn more about this organization that you started. If you wouldn't mind, give us kind of a rundown of what exactly your league is, sort of what it entails.
Sure, my pleasure. So the National Pro Fitness League is a professional spectator sport in human performance racing, which is what we're calling it. It is 2 teams, co-ed, men and women, and at least one of the men and one of the women has to be over 40 years of age. 2 teams going head-to-head in 11 races per match, which takes place in 2 hours. And these races are very exciting. We have substitutions allowed, and so there's only one speed, and that's on. It's fast. And the second you start to slow down, most likely you substitute out,
I see.
and then so the work has to be done by the team. The work is fixed. How you get it done is completely up to you. So we've now tested these races at the last 2 combines, the LA Combine and the Dallas Combine, and it proves itself to be extremely fast-paced, really fun, and very exciting.
How does that play out for the athlete? Is there any sort of break? Is there any sort of halftime of any sort?
Yeah. So the way it's going to work is these matches are designed for TV. So it's a 2-hour show. There's 11 races, which means 10 commercial breaks. Each race or each race grouping has a different set of rules. So the first race is always one male and one female, and it's always a 4-minute time cap, and it always has 4 different number schemes. So the one we did yesterday was 10-8-6-4, and it was always 2 elements. What they did yesterday was deadlifts and weighted pistols. They could do snatches and box jumps, or thrusters and burpees, or whatever the case is. The next race is 3 men and 3 women, but then races 3 and 4 are just men, and races 5 and 6 are just women. So not everyone's going at the same time. There's breaks between the races, and there's the race rules themselves guarantee that the athletes will have different breaks at different times.
This sounds pretty well thought out. How did this thing come to be?
So the original idea for it came literally within hours of being part of the first CrossFit Invitational in London, Team USA versus Team Europe, and watching these two teams go head to head was the first time. I was used to producing shows around 12 either athletes or even 12 teams going head to head.
Hold on for just a second. Is that your background in production, like TV production, media?
No, not really. I mean, so as part of CrossFit, I took over the media department in 2007. Actually created a media department in 2007, it's more accurate, and then grew that, and then starting in, I guess it was at the 2009 games that we started experimenting in live coverage. Right. We had a Jumbotron there, and it was just local, and then 2010 we started doing, we covered the regionals and then the games live to the web, and then the relationship with ESPN started in 2011. But that became my focus. I mean, I was also the first affiliate director for CrossFit. I was also the guy who did the first "What is CrossFit" lecture besides Greg Glassman. Right. I was part of the seminar team breaking that out. No, my background really wasn't in that, but it became my focus. And then, so the last couple years, my primary focus was on media CrossFit, and then I left CrossFit last Thanksgiving. And so after this event in London, I just saw the potential there, and the idea of creating a pro league that was designed for TV, that was designed for storytelling, designed for the fans, just never really went away. And there was a lot of reasons why it couldn't have happened within CrossFit, good reasons. And then when I realized that I was going to have to leave for my own personal reasons, I was like, well, what am I going to do? And then this idea of this league just kept going and going. Is that something that you tried to explore with CrossFit? But yeah, I mean, sort of. I mean, the league like this it's really complex in its infrastructure. So each of the teams, I could spend an hour talking to you about the legal parameters of it, which I find fascinating. But the basic note is the league is nothing without the teams. The teams are separate businesses that all have all these individual players hired to the team, signed to the teams, and then you have relationship with networks and sponsors. So it's this really, really intricate web of sort of a shared destiny around all these different players and partners, and that's really complicated, and that's a very, very different business than the one that CrossFit's in.
Right.
So it didn't really, we didn't have to go very far down the road to kind of realize that that's not an ideal fit for CrossFit.
Let me ask you a little bit more of a basic question. How'd you get this started from a financial standpoint? Did you have to line up some sponsors? Did you have to line up some people to
financial
put some money,
backers?
Yeah, financial backers or something along those lines?
Sure. Yeah. In some ways, all of the above. Our one of our lines is we're building a 10-story building simultaneously. So each floor is being built next to each other. And as soon as we get the foundation down, we're then going to have that first floor, which is fully built, and stack it on top. And then we got the second floor fully built, and and bringing it on. So it's we're moving really fast. We had some early backers get us launched, and then we had some. We are in the process of raising up to $10 million this year, and we are going to be, we're close to closing the first tranche of that. Literally could be within by the end of next week is a real possibility. I only say it that way because so many things are out of my control, but the documents are very close to being finished, and I've got folks signed up for that. But it's a juggling act. I'll tell you that for sure.
Have you found that once you got one person excited, one investor excited, that it was a little easier to bring in other investors?
Every milestone we hit brings more people interested in the league.
Right.
So when we announced and got our first Facebook post up, that was one thing. When we had the actual meeting and people showed up, then more people got interested. When we had the first combine, that was a massive leap in terms of people interested in it. The teams being signed, the athletes being signed. Each one of these steps brings more and more people out of the woodwork and more people wanting to participate.
Being on the PowerCast is a milestone and a half right here.
It is, and in fact, my
Boom.
phone has already started ringing with people.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on the show, especially in such a timely manner after the combine. We feel honored to have you on the show because we think this is going to be a huge hit.
Well, thank you, and it's my pleasure to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
You gave us a little bit of background on your work. What's your background in fitness or sports?
Well, I mean, so the first thing I did with my paper route money way back in the early '80s was to buy a weight set. One of these Caldor plastic covered concrete weight sets, and start working out. I don't know why that was interesting to me. Lifting weights was always, just.
Did you have the bodybuilding pants and the hair back then? The clown pants?
No, I didn't go that far then. I did in the early '90s. I did dabble a little bit in spandex, but
there we go. So you took it partially all the way. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. And then actually, my ex-wife was a great aerobics instructor in Charlottesville, Virginia, and there was an opportunity there. So we opened up an aerobics studio, and then turned that into a gym. So in the early '90s, I was the proud owner of Jumpstart Fitness and Health in Charlottesville, Virginia, and there was a little Globo gym there, and all the same reasons why CrossFit has taken over the world of fitness in terms of defining fitness and getting people moving real weight in real space is the reasons why my Globo gym was a frustrating experience, and so I feel like I got in for the right reasons and I got out for the right reasons. Once I figured out that Globo gyms don't really do what they're supposed to, and then I just kind of left and I did a whole bunch of other things, getting off the grid. Spent 7 years living with a silent Indian monk and raising money for an orphanage in India and translating ancient.
He can't talk about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
And then actually met started working out again, and then met Greg in 2004. And honestly, this it sounds a little hokey, but the practices of yoga that I was doing at the time were thousands of years old from another part of the world, but they worked on me exactly as prescribed. And so I concluded that there was something universally profound and universally true about it. And then when I met Greg and started doing these workouts, I was like, it's the same thing on a totally different level, on a physical level. But these things are profound in a way that was unlike anything that I experienced outside of the yoga. And I was like, there's something here. So I dove in with both feet and and basically started studying everything I could with Greg, and started teaching CrossFit to high school. I was a high school teacher at the time, and including Pat Barber, who was one of my students.
Right.
And basically from there, just watched the kids transform. And then I started realizing the kids didn't need. I was teaching English at the time. Kids didn't need to read more and talk more, although kids should be able to read and talk. They needed to do more, and that was. I was of the opinion that spending time getting people moving effectively was more valuable than anything else I could do, and so I basically became part of CrossFit Inc.
The term functional fitness is being used obviously with CrossFit, but other areas of fitness. Our backgrounds are kind of typical sports, basketball, football, but we're powerlifters. So how do you guys define fitness or define functional fitness within the parameters of these races, kind of?
Yeah, and you know what, actually, which is really cool and refreshing for me, is that we don't. And we don't feel the need to. Because we're not trying to teach people how to get fit. We're not trying to educate people. We're not trying to improve fitness. We are really a pure sport, and we are trying to create a sport with a set of rules, and those rules are established and known, and then you have a bunch of great athletes come onto the field of play, come onto the grid. We're calling the field of play the grid, and race. And race on fair terms, and that's it.
Yeah,
and
so
we are
by
using functional movements. You
Right,
know, we are
right.
we are going to see powerlifting. We are going to see Oli lifting. We are going to see calisthenics and running and the like. And so, we're firmly based in fitness, but we don't have to take a stance on any of that. We don't have to define it. We have to define the rules of the race, and we have to define the scoring and that. And then we basically just have fun.
So you're disconnecting the performance from the training completely, right? You're not suggesting types of training. You're not, other than, possibly discussing strategy for different teams in terms of, substitutions and timing and composition and things like that. You're not concerning yourselves with the way the teams train, right?
Yeah, so you're fading a little bit, but no, that we're not. If I understood your question correctly, no, we're not trying to teach people protocols of how to get fit. The races themselves are perhaps utilizations of prior training methods, but they're and we might encourage people, because the longest race is 7 minutes, and that's a relay race. So there's really no long outbursts. There's no long sustained effort on any of our races. So we are encouraging people who want to be part of our league to really focus on the short duration, and that it's kind of like hockey in some ways with the line shifts, where you just go super hard for whatever period of time it is, 15, 30, 45, 60 seconds, and then you want to have that recovery. You want to be able to recover to as close to 100% as possible, as quickly as possible. So it looks like those demands are much more of what's needed in our sport, and so we would recommend for people to sort of emphasize that in their training if they want to be, an NPFL athlete. But beyond that, we love people training, right? I mean, we're inspired by it. The world is better off when they live with barbells and calisthenics and the combinations, and so if I'd be very, very happy to have a whole array of new people inspired to get off the couch from the league, but to come to an NPFL training session to learn how to do that.
Having said all that, what's your stance on CrossFit? I know things are probably any moment now about to get real inflammatory between the two parties, or from one side to the other. But at some point, it seems like it would be mutually beneficial for you guys to coexist. What are some of your thoughts or your stance on that?
Sure. I mean, I'm fully pro CrossFit. There's no to me, there's no inflammatory anything. we've got a sport which is an exhibition sport. It's not a participatory sport. It exists for fans and spectators. And CrossFit has changed the world, the fitness world particularly. And I don't think that everyone should do CrossFit or do nothing. But I do think that the movement quality, the emphasis on real barbells, real weights, has gotten millions and millions of people interested in that who wouldn't have been otherwise. And that's really the end of the story. I mean, we're different businesses. I had a great 10 years there, and I hope they continue to thrive. And I would love to be able to have that be a vocal part of what we're doing. It seems like there's some concern about. I think that if I were to use the word CrossFit, even to say, if you want to train for the league, go do CrossFit, I have a feeling that would be frowned upon as trying to take advantage of CrossFit's success.
Right.
So I'm not doing that. We're being very careful not to use that word. But again, I think most people benefit from doing constantly varied functional movements at high intensity in some form or another.
So you feel comfortable that they are going to feel the same way? I mean, other than stepping on trademarks and copyrights and such, you feel as though CrossFit is willing to happily coexist with the NPFL?
Unfortunately,
I'm fading out.
I'm not able to understand the question. I can't hear you.
Can you repeat it, Mark?
Yeah, basically he was wondering if you thought the feelings would be mutual from the CrossFit side of things.
I think it varies from what I'm hearing. I don't have a lot of conversations with them these days. I'd be happy to, but
I can answer
I don't
that.
know, actually.
I can answer that question for you. The answer is no.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, we had some good friends that are close to us that train here at Super Training, and they went and they did some of the combines down in LA, some of the one that you had down in Texas, and they had a really good time. One athlete in particular that I trained personally, he had a great time down there, and he was just he was almost more relaxed. I think sometimes even any sort of CrossFit competition just gets him a little bit uptight, gets him wound a little tighter than that is necessary because he is a good athlete. But the feedback that I'm hearing from most of the athletes that competed in your combine, they had a great time and they had a lot of fun.
I mean, I've gotten that feedback also, and I have to say it's probably the most sort of the greatest news I've had yet. I mean, I intended for the combines to be good experiences and to do what they're supposed to do, which is to give athletes the opportunity to present themselves. So this is a new league, right? So we don't know who the best athletes are going to be, and I thought that the combine would be a good structure for that, and then give the teams a chance to find the athletes a chance to find the teams. I didn't even go there to think that this would be just a really great experience for the athletes, and I'm hearing that it was, and I'm so stoked. What a great bonus.
Yeah, I think a lot of the athletes were just feeling like professional. They were feeling like they were cared about, I guess you'd say. And my experience with powerlifting, pro wrestling, I've only felt that like once or twice, and it is a good feeling to have when somebody is treating you well and they kind of respect and appreciate the work, and they appreciate that you're basically putting your body on the line with each and every competition that you do. So congrats to you on that people are giving you some really great feedback. What do you envision for the next several years? I know that there's talks of a TV contract of some sort. So what do you kind of envision for the next 2-3 years?
Sure. So this first year is going to be an exhibition season. It's abbreviated. It'll be we'll have up to 8 teams. I think we're looking really good for 8 teams this first year, and there'll be 3. Each team will play 3 times in this first year, and then we'll have a postseason tournament. And again, it's just kind of for fun and to show the world what we're doing. And then next year will be more of a full season. I'm expecting a 12-week season where each team plays every week, and then a full postseason tournament, playoffs tournament. And we'll probably grow.
How much does it cost to own a team?
Well, it depends. Most of the cost for owning a team is going to be your operational expenses,
right?
And so, this is a very hard question to answer, and
right.
but it truly is. We just don't have. We can look at other sports leagues and we can look at their revenue streams. We can look at their expenses, but the reality is we've never had. The world's never seen this before, and we've designed the grid. The grid is exactly the size of a pro basketball court or an NCAA basketball court, which is 94 feet by 50. And so it fits in, almost any arena that's been built because basketball is so popular. We can just fit into any of those arenas. So we don't have the same challenges as the MLS, for example, where they need to sort of custom design stadiums to fit their sport. And then so that's going to keep costs down. The player costs are unknown in a lot of sense. We have a league minimum, but obviously there are some athletes that are the teams are competing with each other for them, and so that's going to drive up their costs. And then you've got basically sort of the cost of running business and promotions and the events. So all in all, I've been throwing out the number about $500,000 in capital to get this off the ground for a team, and I'm not hearing anybody say that number's crazy, either high or low.
You mentioned a league minimum for athletes being paid. Is there a league maximum or a salary cap?
Not yet. There will be. It's appropriate at this point for us to set one because we just don't know what that is. And the other thing that's really interesting is the names that are going to garner the most money are in this sport in the beginning time is obviously going to be the top CrossFit Games athletes, but they may or may not be the ideal athletes for this sport. I certainly wouldn't want to bet against them, but at the same time, you could have, say, a regionals quality athlete who has a hole in his game, who's spectacular in 80 to 85% of the expectations of a games athlete, and then just really not where he needs to be, and never make it to the games. Just never going to get there. And so, with that athlete though might thrive in this sport where they can be protected from their weakness because of the teammates.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
No, so I was just going to say, so we just don't know that yet. We had a couple former football players trying out at the combines, these last two, and so I think only one of them moved on, but the other ones this one guy basically deadlifted and reverse curled 340.
Crap.
And so you just look, if you just taught this guy how to use his hips and get under a bar and front squat in a front rack position, he'd be able to clean probably close to 400,
right?
And you could probably get there in a couple weeks. He's not quite there yet, doesn't have the hip coordination yet, but someone like this with there's going to be a market out there for coaches who can take an athlete like this whose professional career was short or over, and but they're still just unbelievable athletes. In 6 months, get them to the point where they're able to fix a lot of this confusion, muscle confusion, and we're going to see some. They'd never win the games, but they could be unbelievable contributors to these teams.
You can draw a lot of lines to this league from other sports like basketball and hockey you already mentioned. What about the other aspects of the team, such as coaches, strength coaches, even specialist coaches or trainers? How is that going to be involved with the league?
Well, from a league standpoint, we're not going to have any. That's not going to be involved at all. So basically, we have the rules of the sport set up, and we're going to do those rules. And then the teams are going to have their opportunity to develop the teams, their athletes in whatever form they want. So each team is my guess is best practices are going to emerge. And so, we already know that there are, power lift, Oli lifting, and gymnastics type movements in the sport. To have access to those kind of coaches, to tweak your athletes and fine tune them. So my guess is, there will be, growing relationships among them. Whether they get to a point where they have, several types of coaches on staff. I would predict that it would get there. But I think in the beginning it's going to look a lot like, what a lot of your top games athletes are doing, where they'll spend parts of the year with this coach and parts of the year with that coach and that kind of thing.
In mentioning the specialist, you kind of mentioned that some of the teammates can cover up, various flaws that they may have. Do you think you'll see, 700, 750, 800-pound deadlifts or, 600-700-pound squats in this league due to the fact that you are these teams are seeking out specialists?
Well, I mean, we had Paul Smith deadlift 640 and win the workout, on Saturday.
So he was strong and he was fit as well.
Yeah. So 640 was a PR for him. It's an interesting question. We've actually started that conversation. So one of the ways the league can evolve over time is that we're going to publish all of the races within all of the matches ahead of time. So this year on August 1st, when we launch the full-blown new website, we're going to have all of the regular season matches with each race and each element pre-established, and we're going to have all the playoff races pre-established. So the teams, the athletes, and the fans will know 100% what is coming this season. And so that's going to be true every year. And in fact, the season itself is going to be identical once we get the full season established.
So people will be aware of the exercises before the competition.
That's right. And so one of the drills that we talked about incorporating, so there's two drills that we're talking about incorporating into the regular season. One is a 95-pound overhead pistol,
Jesus.
And one is a relatively high-volume backward roll to support.
Oh my God.
And so if I threw those into a competition that had unknown elements,
right,
you'd basically be eliminating 90% of your especially if they had both.
Yeah.
90% of your athletes right away. Very few people can do both right now.
They go back and forth with that sometimes in the World's Strongest Man competition, but it's kind of known that when people go out to the Arnold Classic and they do the World's Strongest Man competition, it's a much heavier event. It's all done pretty much indoors, and they at least have an idea of what to expect. So I like the concept there. And just for all our meathead lifters out there that don't know what a pistol is, I believe you're talking about a one-legged squat, correct?
That's right. And in this case, you're actually talking about a one-legged squat holding a barbell overhead, so that you don't even have your arms.
Okay, so a barbell, not a kettlebell, huh?
Correct. So it's overhead. So yeah, it's a two-arm overhead barbell, one-legged squat.
Well, I just tore my meniscus. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So for a lot of these athletes, already can do weighted pistols, and for the guys to do a 95-pound weighted pistol isn't probably could do it today. Probably could do quite a few today. But to do that with the barbell overhead, they now have 6 months. They know it's coming. They now have 6 months to get ready for that. And you're only going to need to have one athlete be able to have to do that one element. So it's it's a different thing here. You are going to be training for specific elements, but these are cool elements to do. So could we over time put in so one of the races yesterday had a 415-pound deadlift for 4 reps, and so one guy was expected to be able to do that.
Right.
Could that get up to a 600 or 700-pound deadlift for one as part of the races? over time, yeah, actually that'd be kind of cool. So you would obviously have to have a power lifter, an accomplished power lifter who could run in and do that in the race context.
So with all the events being set for the season, kind of, or the parameters at least, is there a formula or a way that race 1 is conditioning, race 2 is strength-based, or is it still fairly random?
Well, it's definitely not designed to be conditioning versus strength bias condition, or et cetera, et cetera. It's designed instead to be a fun race to watch and a fun race to do. And so we will throw, the races may have leanings or emphases or, whatever the case is, but it's not, again, think of it as just sport and entertainment, not fitness, so that we don't have to go through any of those parameters to try to orient that way. So, the rules are set to be designed for strategy. So, for example, races 3 and 4 for the guys, you have 2 guys on the floor at any given time, and you have 2 guys who can sub in. There's only one station, so the guys, even if they stay in the whole time, they're alternating, and they can substitute. So you end up having only one person working at a time, and so there's a lot of rest with a lot of really fast work.
One thing I really like about these kind of competitions and the competition of CrossFit is that a lot of these athletes have sought out high-level powerlifting coaches, Olympic lifting coaches, even running coaches, you name it. These people, gymnastics coaches, and so on, and it's really created accelerated learning within these sports. And now that you're creating a pro fitness league and there's money involved, the amount of accelerated learning is going to be increased tenfold, I believe. And I think, what you're touching upon is we're just going to basically, in simple terms, see some crazy shit coming up.
I think so. Yes, I think so. And there is a huge incentive to do that. So awesome. I mean, I really, I'm glad you see it that way. I do. And, I'm really pleased to be able to be part of an organization that's giving some of the world's best athletes the opportunity to make a living for the first time ever. And
do you feel, as an owner-operator of this entire project, that you're more like Bud Selig, David Stern, Roger Goodell, or Vince McMahon?
Good question. I would have to say, if I had to choose, I would have to say Roger Goodell. But I would
maybe a little Vince McMahon in there sprinkled in.
Yeah, yeah, probably. It's I'm having a blast, and we're getting a good response, and frankly, we're just beginning. So,
well, the interview process for people to be part of, for people to get signed in, is not just strictly based on just performance. You guys are looking for entertainment value as well, or people with built-in followers and things of that nature. Is that correct?
That's certainly a factor for the teams, and looking at that.
I think that's great. I think that's really good. I don't think that's a negative thing at all.
Well, no, I mean, because we are entertainment, right? I mean, the fans are paying good money to come see these races, and it should be good. And so, yeah, I mean, being a popular athlete who can perform extremely well is a great combination for the league.
That's why I'm pretty disappointed I didn't get a phone call.
You mentioned you mentioned the playing grid or field, excuse my terms, but is the size of a basketball court. Are there already set stadiums for each team to play in, or is the San Francisco team always going to play in the same location?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, so each team in 2014 is going to have 1 or 2 home games. And so we're not at the point yet where you're going to want to sort of create a home venue. We're just not there yet. Next year, each team will have between 6 and 8 home matches. So that's probably when we can start looking at do you create a home venue, and what does that look like? A lot of the arenas have a bunch of sponsors and branding associated with them, especially the bigger ones, and that puts some restrictions on what we can do. The smaller venues have a little bit more flexibility. So that's one of the elements that are still to be developed at this point.
What happened with Kevin Ogre scare you guys at all? It's a scary moment for all of us involved in the fitness world. But is that something that you had to take extra precaution with in the event that somebody would get hurt during your events?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I've been safety conscious, for years. I mean, it's Kevin's, the tragedy around Kevin is heightened. I think everybody's awareness of just how fragile, everyone's, how lucky we've been for so long. I wouldn't say that anything fundamentally changed because the safety of the athletes has always been paramount. But, I mean, I don't know anybody in our space who's not been affected by knowing.
Yeah, we feel the same way here at Super Training. We have a powerlifting meet here. We always try to make sure the guys have the best opportunity to lift the most amount of weight, but in the safest way possible. And we always try to make sure that they're protected. I think we're all good with questions and stuff like that. If there's anything that you want to plug or any announcements that you would like to make about anything, then feel free to go ahead and do so.
Okay. The only thing I would say is, we've got 2 more combines, Atlanta and Boston, coming up the end of last weekend in April and the first weekend in May. And if you guys are in the area, be great to have you come by and see what we're doing. We've got a second stage combine, which is the sort of the final tryouts in June in Vegas, and we're still working out the details on that, but that should be really great. June 20 to 22nd in Vegas. So if you're considering hanging out in Vegas, that'd be a great weekend to do it. And then our draft will be July 10th in Miami. We're looking at hotels in South Beach, and then the season's going to start late August. So NPFL.com is your source for all the latest information, and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're plugging away. So love to have you part of the league.
In year number 1, where is this going to be seen? Just mainly online, or is there a bigger place for people to watch?
Literally just got off the phone with Wasserman Media Group, who's our agent for our negotiations, helping us negotiate with the networks. And so we got a counter offer. We're sort of in the later stages of a major sports network, and the deal's not signed, so it's inappropriate for me to talk about it. But I think the regular season will be live on the web, and the postseason will be to one of the 24-hour sports networks. We're actually talking to 2 different networks. So
that's absolutely that's awesome news, and congratulations on being able to put a lot of this together. I know you're not done by any means. You got a long haul ahead of you, but congratulations on setting it up thus far. It sounds incredible, and we'll all be watching, and we'll be we'll be telling people about the Pro Fitness League you got going on here. So,
well, thank you much. I appreciate it, and look forward to staying in touch and seeing how much our worlds can overlap in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, sounds great, and we will catch up with you soon.
Okay, great.
Thanks,
you guys.
Tony.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So we're hired?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're hired and fired.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm very tempted to say let's go to Vegas and watch the people that we already know compete in this final combine and see.
I'm not allowed to go to Vegas or Miami.
You're just kicked out of both?
I'm Kaepernicked from Miami.
Oh.
Are you Ed Coote out of Vegas?
Yeah, basically.
Son of a
I don't
bitch.
want to wake up with a fucking tiger in my bathroom. Know what I'm saying? I thought I thought Tony Budding hit a motherfucking grand slam.
Yeah.
We were talking to him about CrossFit. Hopefully he can. Hopefully, behind closed doors and out in the open through social media and so on, hopefully he can keep that stance You just keep fucking smiling. It makes people want to knock you out even harder, but in the long run, it's the best. It's the best route to go.
Well, I think he's right that they can coexist in the fact that the NPFL does not want to teach you how to train, doesn't want to open gyms, doesn't want to train you, doesn't want to sell you anything but to watch them. CrossFit, at its core, is the same as P90X at its core. It wants to sell you a way to get fit.
Yeah, CrossFit in a way is, I guess, like a sort of like a multi-level marketing scheme of some sorts. Of somebody buys in, then somebody trains there for a while. They learn how to do CrossFit. They get fired up. They get excited about it. They get in shape. Next thing you know, they're coaching, and next thing you know, what do?
Very much so.
They open up their own gym. I mean, how many times over have we seen that happen? Even at Ben Alderman's place, I know of 2 people that have opened up their own gym, and his gym hasn't been open that long yet.
Right.
And so on and so forth down the road. You see it happen time and time again. And I know that that's not their business model necessarily, but that's kind of what has happened.
Yeah, well, and it's not only multi-level marketing, but it's multi-level in general. You know, they have the games, which is kind of
the games. They have regionals.
Yeah, they have affiliates.
The affiliate system.
They have obviously all their clothing and their branding.
Certs.
Yeah, the seminars.
I just want to say that guy was just legit. Like, he didn't duck. He didn't hide. He didn't dance around the word CrossFit.
Well, he kind of sounded like a Roger Goodell or something. He was ready for it all.
Oh, I was expecting a little bit more dancing and backpedaling, and there was none of that. He went straight forward. Well,
I think probably this guy's best asset going into this situation is the time that he spent studying yoga. That 7 years that he spent hanging out with a guy who didn't talk.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean that's excellent because he's got a quiet place in his head
that he can
go
to.
Deal with this stuff.
He can rely on.
Yeah,
so do murderers. Do murderers. I don't think that's a good thing.
But this guy's not going to be provoked.
Yeah. He can filter it.
Yeah. I think it was great.
Yeah, I just you got to appreciate that in any field when someone's able to stand up to something.
There's still a lot of questions unanswered, I think, on his half and our half. You know, just the fact that the arena is going to be a big deal. Is San Francisco?
Well, it sounded quite complicated.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it is.
So there's going to be an educational.
Yeah.
But however, you do have a built-in audience. However many CrossFitters there are.
Yeah, they're going to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you're going to probably attract a very large percentage of them, maybe 75 or 80%, which is a nice chunk to start out with. You
Plus
get those
a couple of
people
meatheads
interested.
like us.
Yeah, and you get some other people interested in watching, and you at least have. And if you have CrossFitters watching, they already know what the hell's going on.
Right.
We won't know. We won't know what's going on until about year 5.
But
catch on.
But if you do get on a major network, then you're going to have local radio talk about it. If local radio talk about it, even if they're bashing it, they're going to talk about it. If it's on a major news network, something's going to happen.
It's going to be on whether I didn't get to hear the broadcast TV part of the conversation.
He said they're talking to 2 major sports networks.
You got Fox Sports, basically, and you have ESPN.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you got to work
with.
There?
Those are 24-hour sports. There's 2 24-hour sport networks, right?
Well, there's like little ones, I think. You know, like Speed used to be Fox
right.
Sports, but there's other ones like that.
Comcast.
Yeah, Comcast has.
I would imagine
Comcast/NBC.
If I was just to take a wild guess, I would imagine he's talking to Fox.
I would imagine he's talking to ESPN because of his past relationship.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure he made that connection with CrossFit.
Yeah, that's
so if he said, "Hey, CrossFit,"
it's a question.
CrossFit was an event, and then we tried to mold it to TV. I'm molding this league for you.
Right.
And then that's an easy sell to ESPN.
Yeah,
ESPN's looking for something new. You know, basketball's always there, baseball's always there, football's always there, but
I'm just thinking about it, you know, in terms of how you show the events, having it on a basketball court in a contained environment like that with really only one person per team doing something at a time.
That's smart.
You're going to have a really good chance of getting great footage
and
of
making it a race, making it the scoring in CrossFit is very complicated.
I can't remember if I said this before, but you know, our friend Angel Cardenas has been hosting some of the videos, and he was telling me that what they're shooting the combines with are very expensive cameras. You could shoot a movie with these cameras. They're digital video cameras, but they're still. I mean, the quality is amazing if you see any of what they've got on YouTube.
I saw some of the stuff they have posted, and I thought it was genius that they did 15-second clips on Instagram of them signing people.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was brilliant. Like, here we are. We're signing this person. They're part of our league now.
So powerful.
And I just thought that was great amidst all the, hoopla between them and CrossFit or whatever. It's like, yep, this is our guy.
Right. Right.
You knew this person as a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
And now they just signed with me.
Well, that's what he even admitted. Like at first, people are going to sign CrossFitters,
Right.
But in 2 years, maybe powerlifters are better at this. He doesn't know, and obviously that's not the case. But maybe basketball players
Well,
are
I
better
think
at
this
this.
is going to form some different athletes.
Yeah.
Which will be great.
Well, some of these aesthetics guys that we see that have
gay.
have branched off into powerlifting of late. Maybe they have the right body weight and the right background or whatever to
Look
get
at
into a sport.
Look at our boy Toreno Singleton that trained
Yeah.
here for a while. What did he deadlift, 635 or
Yeah,
something?
well, that's what
Yeah.
he said. The ex-football guys, right?
Yeah, 635. I mean, there's no question the guy can run like a mofo. He was a professional, he's an NFL running back.
Right.
So you got a guy there that can sprint. I'm sure he can jump,
Yeah.
and he can deadlift.
He can learn how to do a muscle up.
And he probably wouldn't necessarily have to. He probably
Maybe,
wouldn't have to
yeah.
go that far into it. He probably wouldn't have to go too far outside of his range. But at least he knows how to do enough stuff that he can be a major contributor to a team. And that's
Right.
what I'm thinking is you're going to see some different types of athletes. I think in CrossFit, you're pinned down to a certain frame already. You
Right.
know, a certain – not that you can't do it if you're taller. You can't do it if you're shorter. I'm not saying that. But you have to be exponentially that much better than a person standing next to you if you're bulky in one area or if you're super tall or vice versa.
I think it'll be interesting. He said with the investors and fundraisers and whatever, one would come and then more would be interested.
$500,000. I was going to buy a house, but now
Yeah.
we're
Maybe
going to
not.
start up Team
Well,
Slingshot.
I think it'll be interesting when a big,
Put in $20,
a
Mike.
big. All right, I'll buy a 0.5%. But when a big ass company,
Bring that baby over here. Let's get that baby on the
camera
PowerCast.
for the first time.
Make sure you don't trip or nothing. Those of you that are watching on camera, we got so-and-so here. Who is this?
It's Callie.
We got Baby Callie on. Baby Callie, you got anything to say to the PowerCast fans out there?
Cali muscle.
Oh,
She's being very political at a young age.
Yeah,
she
no
doesn't want
comment.
to take a stance one way or the other.
no comment.
But thank you for coming on the PowerCast. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Once a big investor or a big company sponsors, I don't know if they sponsor a team or they sponsor the league. But
That was the first baby we ever had on here.
This is
You're
true.
acting like it's no big thing.
You act like a baby.
She was drooling like crazy. See her?
That's not the first person to poop the pants on the show.
Ooh.
That's true.
I got to ask this question. When was the last time that somebody started up a new professional sports league of any kind?
Probably
the XFL.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Or
thinking.
slam
XFL.
ball or
And-
whatever that
and-
was.
And that was exciting, too.
Yeah, the XFL was exciting, and it had its the major thing against the XFL was that it was fucking freezing outside when
Yeah.
people tried to go to games.
And then they
because
tried to shift around.
What about the
They
was
only,
the XFL?
well, they only went. I think they only went about 1 year.
Yeah.
and then things went sidewards. But Vince McMahon could have made that work if he really
was that before
wanted
the
to.
WNBA? Because WNBA's
Is that
fairly
still
recent.
going?
Yeah, still kicking.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Sacramento just lost our team, I think, so that's why we don't. potentially do
Ooh.
it.
They could be back under
I
the
don't
new
know.
ownership, according to
Oh,
what I hear.
yeah, I believe they probably
would,
will.
Yeah, well, because they're the new ownership is looking for content.
When
Looking
they
for
got
content.
money.
Yeah, they have money and they're looking
Well,
for
maybe
content.
we should approach Vivek and he could partner with Slingshot to
It-
get an
it,
NPFL team.
It sounds silly, but it's kind of amazing to be on this side of things and be able to present this league to a whole new audience.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like there's
Yeah, it's
people
cool.
that listen to our show that have never heard of this before, and I
Right.
think that's awesome.
I
I
also-
think we're basically pushing out something that they've never heard of or never would experience otherwise.
I think everybody except for CrossFitters haven't heard about the NPFL.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think no one's heard of Tony Budding. And I don't think he's
There's
been on
still-
any podcast or any news. I haven't seen anything
not
over
in the
a
last month.
Yeah,
No,
I
I've
haven't
seen-
seen anything over a 5-minute clip, and he just gave us a good half hour of info that, we can spread to the world,
And
man.
that speaks to like relationships. Like I was with CrossFit a while back. I kept in contact with Tony for a little while. Don't know him, but know him well enough.
But you know him.
But I knew him. Hey,
Hey, now.
But know him well enough to
Yeah.
ask him a question, and then right away he was like, sure.
Yeah,
Right.
he
Knows
was-
enough about me. Knows there's enough
he
history there to say.
responded
Yep.
quickly enough.
And whether he's political or not, he hopes our paths cross. Maybe in Las Vegas. Maybe in a strip club or a bar.
Why wouldn't we want to have some kind of involvement?
No,
Two
I'm in.
things.
That's
Two
my
things I was
question.
shocked he didn't mention. He did not mention Katie Hogan's short shorts.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. He
And
was
I
thinking
think
about
that's
it.
a political
It
stance
is,
on
of
his
course.
part.
He's scared of Jesse Megamind.
Megamind's big.
Yeah, I would be scared of him
Megamind-
too. I am scared of him.
Well, let's just say Megamind can't fight. Let's just say he couldn't fight his way out of
No,
paper bag.
I think
How are you going to hurt him?
I was about
That's
to
the
say.
question.
I was about to say it's more likely he can't run. He could probably fight, but I don't know if he
I'm
could
sure-
run.
yeah, I'm sure he's a tough bastard. But let's just say,
Okay.
let's just say that he can't fight,
I'm gonna hit him with a baseball bat and then run for my life.
and nothing's going to happen except for your baseball bat is going to be shattered in 3 pieces.
Yeah, he might have some splinters in his skull. That's about it, huh?
He's just going to turn and ask you, "Why did you do that?"
Yeah.
and it's going to be like bent, like a cartoon, like over his head.
And he won't even be mad.
He might get one of those little egg things to come up, like in the
Yeah.
cartoons.
Yeah.
And they'll push it down.
Yeah. Oh, they'll put some ice on.
Yeah,
it.
he'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And what was the other thing?
the other thing was Ben Alderman's giant head.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention any of the names. Hopefully that he will listen.
That was
I'm
PC
sure-
of our part, right?
I'm
I
sure
thought
he'll
you
listen.
didn't mention
So-
the name on purpose.
So Ben Alderman,
Right.
Katie Hogan,
Hey now.
Drew Canavero.
Silent Mike.
Who else do we have?
That's it.
Is that
That's it. And that's all. Silent
That's
Mike's
it
going
right
to be
now.
the league powerlifting coach.
But we've met a lot of the
Beaver.
others. Beaver.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
Ashley
the
Beaver.
Beavs made it, huh?
Ashley Beaver.
The Beavs
right.
made it to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Beaver lost in Vegas.
Whoa. I don't know. Is that a movie?
That's what I named it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know
We should
about
film a documentary right now.
that. I don't. Hey now.
Your pause sounded like a fart.
What was I saying? Oh, Ben Alderman was giant head, so they have that, the handstand push-up.
He cheats. It's a deficit. It's like a block pull for him.
Yeah, it's like, he just goes
His
with his
big-ass
arms.
head.
He just barely locks his arms
What if
out.
his arms were about an inch shorter? He wouldn't have to move.
He just lands on that freaking boulder of a head.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. What a cheater.
We're gonna have to have him on the show, and he can explain to us.
No,
in
we're not
person
having him on the show until he
about
gets
his
signed.
cheating. Well, maybe we can have his son on. One of
Yeah.
his sons.
Or maybe his wife.
His wife's hot. We should have
Yeah.
her on.
Yeah.
She's probably more interesting anyways.
That would be way more appealing to the audience, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ben Alderman's wife and Charlie Zamora's wife. We'll have them on.
Yeah.
Oh,
skip,
yeah.
Skip the husbands.
We
We'll
talked
just have
about
the
having
wives
Andy on today.
Yeah.
Andy
well,
was good
having
as- yeah, she-
having a lady's voice on here
Well, Andy's going to be a great co-host.
would be a change of pace instead of these fat guy voices.
Well, all right.
Whenever Andy's ready.
A couple
Yeah.
glasses of wine and she'll go off.
Oh,
We just got to
yeah.
pick a good
Yeah.
topic.
She's not very political. She wouldn't be very. She wouldn't be very good on here.
Maybe not
Let's
today's
just
interview.
keep her off of here.
On second thought, backpedal.
Yeah.
God
Anyway.
damn it. I've kicked your bottle over 3 times today. That's where I stretched my leg.
Oh,
Sorry.
because you're a patellar tendon.
Well, I'm trying not to shorten my hammies. I'm trying to learn from
See, this
fucking
thing
Kelly.
explodes. It's got some.
Not in my face, please.
Ranch dressing? What?
You got some ranch chains, Amitos?
Oh, ranch. I thought you said ranch dressing.
No, I did.
Oh, you did
Yeah,
say
it's
ranch
got
dressing.
Ranch,
Well, you're on a-
ranch dressing.
You're
in
on a
it.
bulk, right? Ranch dressing in your
I
shake.
just love the taste of ranch dressing. I mean, seriously,
I
who
don't-
doesn't?
I don't find it that odd.
All right.
So what's going on this week? We got some shits going on.
Well, we got the mini gangster wraps are on sale
What?
right now.
Yes.
On sale. Not
they'll
only
be-
for sale, but I think they're on sale.
Give
Well,
me,
they're
give me an
for
end
sale.
date. This
They're
goes
new.
up Wednesday. So give me an end date on the sale.
We'll just say it ends at the end of the week. How about
Okay.
that?
All right,
And the end
sounds
of the
good.
week is Sunday.
No, I believe
sound
it's
fair?
Saturday, isn't it?
Okay, Sunday.
The end of the actual week?
Well, the end of the actual
It
week would be
depends on-
Friday.
No.
The
That's
work
the
week.
work week.
That'd
But
be
the
Friday.
regular week is Saturday.
It's-
Who made this? Jesus Christ
Sunday.
himself made
We're
it
gonna
so
say
complicated.
we're gonna say Sunday though, right?
Sunday.
Sunday.
So
There
they're
we go.
$5 off. Katie Hogan wraps are available for $5 off, and the pink hip circle.
Primo.
And then also
We need to send Budding a hip circle.
Thursday, we're going to see Jason Khalipa.
The Bear Khalipa. I think
I don't
that's
think.
his nickname.
I think you're gay.
No, I think that's his nickname.
No, I
I
think.
think you're right.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
He-
I think you guys.
He
are
had a
being
protein.
Gay.
He had a protein with Progenics, and it was a bear on there. It was called
Oh
like,
my
It was
God.
called like Khalipa Smash Protein.
Is it because of the California?
Yeah.
bear?
And he's all big and
Yeah.
tan and jacked.
I'm not on board with any of that.
You're Mark Smelly Bear Bell.
That's true.
Yeah.
Smelly Bear Bell.
So that's what's going on.
Just
and,
fucking balling. Lifting weights.
I think that's it.
Getting
And then,
jacked.
yeah, programming notes coming up. This will be Wednesday this week. Next week, Robert Oberst.
Or best.
Obi.
The
uh,
Obrist.
The next week will be a show with some guests from out of town. The
Oh yeah, the Vincent brothers.
Vincent brothers, along with a very special call-in guest. And then part 2 will be just the Vincent brothers the next week. And then after that, when I'm returning from Ireland, we will have a already recorded episode about diet and supplements.
Hey now.
So give you all something to look forward to. We will leak out the name of our special guest soon.
It has to do with a bunch of numbers, basically.
Yeah, it's some numbers.
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell on the Twitters and on the Instagrams. Follow my fat face. And may all your shits be tapered.
I'm Silent Mike with 2 Ks on both of them.
Jim McD, STTV, everywhere. Follow us on Twitter at STGymSack/SuperTrainingGym. And hop onto iTunes and give us a rating and review because we always love that.
Check out supertraining.tv.
And
Would you?
supertraining.tv. Thanks very much, guys.
Subscribe to Power Magazine at thepowermagazine.com. If you choose the digital edition, you can catch up on all the great back issues, take your training to the next level with Slingshot products at howmuchyobench.net, and look for BSN products including NO Explode at bodybuilding.com. Mark Bell's PowerCast is a production of supertraining.tv.